Hello fellow gardeners, I'm really glad you're here. Welcome back to the Smart Garden channel. If you've ever stood in your garden, watching leaves pile up and wondering how you'll ever turn them into that coveted black gold we all crave, you're in the right place. Today I'm thrilled to share a transformative composting method that will revolutionize how you approach fall garden cleanup. Imagine turning your garden waste into nutrient-rich compost in record time, ready to supercharge your garden beds before winter's end. No more waiting months for decomposition. No more nutrient-poor garden beds struggling to support your plants. Instead, discover the revolutionary shred, soak, and stack method that unlocks fast, carbon-rich compost, giving your plants the boost they deserve right when they need it most. The compost conundrum: why fast carbon matters. Let's start with a truth many home gardeners know all too well. Traditional composting takes forever. You pile up leaves in autumn, watch them slowly break down through winter and spring, and if you're lucky, you've got usable compost by summer. Meanwhile, your garden beds are hungry, your soil structure is deteriorating, and you're spending money on expensive commercial amendments that never quite perform, as well as that rich, homemade compost. The real culprit behind slow composting is what I call the carbon crisis. Fall brings an abundance of leaves, which are carbon-rich brown materials, but most home gardeners either leave them in their yards or compost them without understanding the science of rapid breakdown. When leaves sit in a pile without proper preparation, they form a dense, water-resistant mat that resists decomposition. Microorganisms struggle to access the carbon-rich materials, and, without the right conditions, months pass before these valuable nutrients become available to your plants. But here's where the shred, soak, and stack method changes everything. By strategically preparing your fall materials and building your pile with precision, you can dramatically accelerate the decomposition process. Instead of waiting until summer for finished compost, you'll have nutrient-dense, dark, crumbly compost ready by late winter or early spring. This isn't just faster composting, it's smarter composting that works with nature's decomposition process rather than against it. Shred it. The power of particle size. The first step in our accelerated composting method is shredding, and honestly, this is where the magic begins. When you shred leaves and other carbon-rich materials, you're not just making them smaller, you're fundamentally transforming how quickly microorganisms can break them down. Think of it this way: a whole leaf presents a relatively small surface area for microbes to colonize, but shred that same leaf into dozens of pieces, and you've multiplied the available surface area exponentially. This increased contact point is absolutely crucial for rapid microbial action. The best materials to gather for shredding are your dry, fallen leaves from autumn. These leaves are an ideal carbon-rich brown material, packed with the carbon your compost pile needs. But don't stop there. You can also shred small branches, cardboard, straw, and other woody materials. The goal is to create a collection of finely divided carbon materials that microorganisms can rapidly colonize and break down. Now, how do you actually shred these materials? The easiest and most efficient method is to use your lawnmower. Simply collect your dry leaves, attach a bagger to your mower, and mow over them on your lawn. The shredding process happens instantly, and you're left with a collection of finely divided leaf pieces ready for the next step. If you have large volumes of leaves, this method is a genuine time saver and works surprisingly well. For those with more dedicated composting setups, a dedicated leaf shredder will quickly and finely shred large amounts of leaves with impressive efficiency. These machines are a worthy investment if you're serious about composting. Alternatively, if you don't have access to either option, you can use a string trimmer with creative problem solving. Place your leaves in a large, durable container like a trash can, and carefully use your string trimmer to shred them into small pieces. It takes more effort, but it absolutely works, demonstrating that this method is accessible to gardeners at every level. Soak it, activating the carbon catalysts. The second step is where many home gardeners miss a critical opportunity. Soaking your shredded materials isn't just about wetting them, it's about activating the entire decomposition process and creating ideal conditions for microorganisms to thrive. Compost needs to be consistently moist for microorganisms to flourish, with the ideal consistency being like a wrung-out sponge, moist enough to support life but not so wet that it becomes anaerobic and creates foul odors. Here's the secret. When you soak your shredded leaves immediately after shredding them, you're jump-starting the microbial colonization process. The moisture penetrates into all those newly created surface areas, making the carbon materials immediately accessible to decomposer organisms. Without this soaking step, your shredded materials can form a dry, impenetrable mat that resists moisture and slows decomposition significantly. By soaking as you build your pile, you prevent this problem entirely. For best results, time your soaking as you build the pile itself. This is a simple but highly effective approach that ensures every layer receives adequate moisture from the start. Stack it. The carbon-rich fast-compost pile. Now comes the final, crucial step: stacking your materials into a high-performance compost pile. This isn't random layering. This is strategic construction that creates the ideal environment for rapid decomposition. A properly stacked pile generates significant internal heat as microorganisms work feverishly to break down the materials, and this heat accelerates decomposition even further. Start by creating a base layer of coarse, bulky material like twigs or straw. This foundation is essential because it allows air to circulate underneath the pile and enables drainage so excess moisture can escape. From there, begin alternating layers of browns and greens. Your brown layers should consist of 4 to 6 inches of soaked, shredded leaves, straw, or sawdust, those carbon-rich materials we shredded and soaked in the previous steps. Then add green layers on top, consisting of 2 to 4 inches of nitrogen-rich materials. These greens are absolutely essential for balancing your carbon-heavy brown materials. Use grass clippings, kitchen scraps like vegetable peelings and coffee grounds, or well-aged manure. This nitrogen provides the catalyst that accelerates microbial decomposition of the carbon materials. After adding the first few layers, introduce a thin layer of garden soil or finished compost. This layer is your inoculant, introducing beneficial microorganisms that will rapidly colonize your new pile and begin breaking down the materials. This small addition makes a surprising difference in decomposition speed. Continue building your layers until your pile reaches 3 to 4 feet high. This height is critical because it ensures the pile generates enough heat to sustain rapid decomposition and reach temperatures that accelerate breakdown. Top off your finished pile with a brown layer, another 4 to 6 inches of shredded leaves. This final layer serves two important purposes. It reduces odors that might otherwise attract neighborhood pests, and it deters flies and other unwanted visitors from accessing the nutrient-rich greens buried deeper in the pile. After you've stacked your pile, your work isn't entirely finished, but the ongoing maintenance is straightforward and worthwhile. Regular turning with a pitchfork dramatically accelerates decomposition by mixing the materials and adding oxygen throughout the pile. Aim to turn your pile every 1 to 2 weeks. Each time you turn it, you're breaking up compacted materials, redistributing moisture and introducing fresh oxygen that hungry microorganisms absolutely crave. Monitor your pile's moisture level consistently. It should remain moist but never soggy or waterlogged. During heavy autumn or winter rains, consider covering your pile with a tarp to prevent excess water from drowning out your hard-working microorganisms. If the pile becomes too wet, decomposition slows, and you risk creating anaerobic conditions that produce foul odors. Should you notice your pile smelling like ammonia, that's a clear sign you have too much nitrogen relative to carbon. Simply add more brown materials, shredded leaves, straw, or cardboard, to rebalance the ratio. Conversely, if your pile seems sluggish and isn't heating up as expected, you may need to add more green materials to provide the nitrogen that powers decomposition. The carbon payoff. Your garden's transformation. By spring, your patience and effort will pay extraordinary dividends. You'll open that finished pile to discover beautiful, dark, crumbly compost that smells earthy and rich. This isn't the weak, partially decomposed material you might get from traditional composting methods. This is nutrient-dense, carbon-rich compost that will genuinely transform your garden beds. Incorporate this finished compost into your spring garden beds and watch your plants respond with vigor. The organic matter improves soil structure, enhancing drainage in clay soils while increasing water retention in sandy soils. The nutrient density supports explosive plant growth, reducing your need for synthetic fertilizers. Your garden will reward you with healthier plants, better yields, and soil that becomes richer and more alive season after season. I encourage you to try the shred, soak, and stack method this fall and share your results with our community. your experience, the timing, the final compost quality, and your plant's response will inspire other gardeners to embrace this transformative approach. If you found this guide valuable, please subscribe to the Smart Garden channel and share this video with fellow gardeners who could benefit from creating their own black gold. Together, we're building a community of gardeners who understand that great gardens begin with great soil. Thank you for gardening with us.